Hey everyone, this is Ruben,
And Shane.
and this here is our Conversations About Something podcast. This here is episode number 12, and on this one, back up, we're coming back from a little break, so excuse us for not having a new podcast readily available to you guys last week. We were taking a little vacation time, and so now we are back up and running again. And anyways, so for this episode, we wanted to talk about direction. Giving our dogs direction and things like that. So to start off, because Shane was talking about this a lot, I'm going to let Shane start with his thoughts on direction and what that means for our dogs. So, Shane?
All right, direction. So when I think about direction, I think about what, I don't want to say what I'm doing, but maybe what I do in general, right? So if we look at it at a person, maybe someone that doesn't have direction in their life, they feel confused, lost, stuck, everything is mundane.
Maybe they partake in toxic behaviors.
Yeah, perhaps, toxic behaviors. Just essentially not knowing what to do or where to go, where they want life to take them. Years ago, I felt that way, and then I found jiu-jitsu. And that changed my pathway. Things started becoming about, I know how this happened. When I'm in jiu-jitsu class, I'm having a great time, I want to get better at it. And then let's say weekend comes around, I go out with buddies and friends, whatnot, and then Monday comes around and jiu-jitsu class is just that much harder. So this is jiu-jitsu giving me some direction, right? I ended up really cut back on those going out and drinking, all those kind of things, because it affected how I was doing in jiu-jitsu. So this eventually started to kind of give me direction. I didn't think about that then until, or this idea of it until more recently. But that's what it was giving me. And so essentially it's like giving discipline, right? So if we kind of back up a little bit here and we think about direction with dogs. When the dogs are just trying to figure it out, just like the person is without the skill set to do that, it can be overwhelming, almost like, in my opinion, almost like anxiety, like an anxious feeling. You need to be doing something just to be doing something. And so when I think about that with dogs, does the dog know how just to lay down and just chill? Or does the dog have to be constantly investigating? What's this? What's that? Moving around all the time, smelling everything, always investigating, looking. They can't just relax. And so in my mind, that's the dog that doesn't have any direction. It doesn't know what to do and is trying to just figure it all out on their own. And so by training the dog, teaching the dog obedience, playing games with the dog, teaching the dog how to lay down and relax, that is essentially giving the dog direction. I would say, taking the dog out for a walk, but if you're not walking the dog, you're just connected by a leash, the dog is still out there with no direction.
Yeah.
So that's, in a nutshell, that is kind of what my idea of what I think about direction. So, guiding the dog helps give the dog direction. You do that long enough, you create habits. And the dog just starts to default into the habits because that is what they do. Just as I was referring to jiu-jitsu earlier, jiu-jitsu led me to, well, I started doing jiu-jitsu later on. That got me into a gymnastic strength training program. That led me to working on my diet. These things all combined, they've led me to working on my mindset. All these things have guided me down this pathway. Those are the skills that I acquired through these activities, and that's kind of the same thing that the dogs with through the training and working with their handler, their owner.
Yeah, I was also just thinking about dogs, the non-giving direction part of it. What I think is super important is the difference between giving the dog a command and not giving them a command. So if we don't give them a command, say it's we're really early on, they know maybe they just lay down on their own at times, but what I've noticed is that those dogs who aren't, for instance, given a command, like me saying, hey, down, when they choose to do it on their own, what I see is a dog with a mind that's still very alert. Whether it's their owner walked away and the dog is going into a sit on their own, or they are downing on their own, but the dog is still very much worried about what where the owner is going, right? We have a dog out too right now. Miss Molly is out here. She's on place just behind us as we record this. But what I see in those moments are dogs who haven't been habitualized to what is expected. A dog who's been practicing me giving them direction for years, I think is going to have a better state of mind overall when they go to choose to go lay down on their own, rather than a dog who it's they're almost just doing stuff to pass the time, or I still very much see a worried dog, an unsure dog, without just that simple hey, I need you to do this. Because when I tell them to do that, it already comes with what seems to me a little bit more of oh, okay, he's told me I don't need to worry about them, the fact that they walked away or something like that. He's telling me that by him saying that to me, I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, I can agree. As you were saying that, it just got me thinking of what is going to keep if the dog decides to lay down on its own, what's going to keep the dog from reacting to something that happens in the environment?
Or popping up again.
Exactly. By doing the reps and getting in there, putting in the time, when you do, just as you said, down, and you've done that to where it's down means you do this, and you don't need to worry about this stuff. I'm in control of that. I'm watching out for you. You're letting them know that they can relax.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually just watching some nature programs the other day, last weekend, and watching the animals on there. What do they all look like? Anxious. Why? Because they have the threat of being eaten by another animal all the time, right? Except for the giant cats. They're just either hunting, laying, or playing.
So all the deer are
oh, exactly.
What the hell is that? What's that? What's that noise?
And so it's
what's wrong?
And that's what I think about, when I was watching it, I couldn't help but think about the dogs. And it's you have to teach the dog that they don't have to worry about the environment. Because they're animals.
And they're instinctually going to worry about the environment.
Exactly. And so they need they need to build up trust in the handler in order to believe that they don't need to worry about something.
Yeah, and we build the trust by advocating for our dogs, teaching them what they should do, teaching what they shouldn't be doing, and we do that, I mean, for X amount of reps, or, you know, X amount of time. I mean, like...
Well, and just at the same time as the fact that it's like that we're doing these things with the animal, it's like we're building relevance, we're building this, they can look to us for guidance.
Yes. I like that with the animals, because they're all just like the prey.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I don't know what any of this stuff is, and it's like the dogs aren't prey animals, you know, but they very much don't know this world. You know, they might act completely different if they were in the woods and there wasn't loud cars running by, there wasn't strange dogs coming into their territory. You know, like, those are all unnatural.
Well, they'd be in a pack.
They'd be in a pack with a pack leader who would be directing them on what to do.
Do they have multiple pack leaders?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But in either case, there would still be, you know, if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, they would be telling all of the other...
But you know what I
like, hey, this is what is going on.
That just brought me up to another thing. As I was watching this program, you know, the bears came up, and this was a small bear that found some water and that was hanging out in this little pond area, you know, and then another bear is coming along. You know, this guy, you know, the bears, right? They're top of the food chain. And what did this bear do? Oh! Split. Took off. You know, again, like, just because the bear's at the top of the food chain, there's going to be bigger bears.
Yeah.
And that's what this bear ran away from. Right? Was it worth getting in the fight? No. The bear was still on alert. Now, I don't know if anyone's seen, like, wild dogs before, like, you know, dogs living... that are like literally street dogs, they're feral dogs that live in cities. You know, I was like, they sleep. What is that? Go investigate. Then they go hunt for food. Oh, this is a nice little spot. Oh, there's people. You know, then they get scared. They move away.
Yeah. But here, it's like they don't have, sometimes, you know, they're on a leash, they don't have options to move away, things like that. And so that's why, again, it goes back to, we need to give them direction on how to respond to the leash, follow me. Oh, shit, oh, okay, like, I got spooked by that, but I know how to follow this direction from this guy, and he's actually going to lead me away from the threat. I can trust him.
Yeah. But you know, it's kind of crazy though. There's a lot now when you think about this. You know, if you think about wild dogs or stray dogs, then you think about pet dogs and how they would respond to that. You know, I just gave that example about the stray dog and people. You know, a stray dog will be like, they'll be weary to approach a person.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, I don't feel that general pet dogs that we see walking around their owners are that way. They're like, human, pet me.
Yeah.
You know, so just like a different dynamic of what is considered a threat and what isn't. I mean, that's kind of off topic of the direction thing, but...
Or are those dogs actually, are they saying, oh, it's a human pet me, or are they trying to go and investigate? Make
Maybe
sure
so.
that it's okay? I mean, yeah, I'm sure there are some dogs.
I was just thinking
out
of
there.
a general representation.
I'm sure there are dogs.
What does a human mean to them?
And I know there is. There's dogs out there who, like, yeah, as a human, I'm going to go and, you know,
Investigate.
And there's ones that, you know, happy-go-lucky, what have you, you know. But I would almost lean more towards they're trying to investigate to figure it out, to see if it's okay or not. And then it's like, it's one of those things in their minds, like, oh, thank God, I'm glad that went okay.
You think so? Even when they jump up on, you know, like the other day I was coming into my apartment and I got jumped up on by a dog.
Yeah,
And
I think
so,
that's
like, you know,
awesome.
but it's like I don't feel like, because it's like, you know, I came across lots of stray dogs living in Mexico, and they definitely did not just approach me.
No.
They did not jump on me. You know, so just how I see that as is like, you know, perhaps those dogs in Mexico, you know, didn't have the best experience with humans, so they're like, those things walking around on 2 feet, that's a threat. While, you know, some dogs over here could be like, oh, those things walking on 2 feet, those are awesome. They give me pets and they give me treats.
I think that speaks to another problem of like, oh hey, everything that you want comes from everything else except me.
So
you
everything
can
you want
ignore
comes
me.
from you at all times.
And so you can ignore me when we're out in these kinds of areas because, you know, these other things give you what you want. Remember, guys, dogs are very opportunistic and they are very much out to please themselves. So
Selfish animals.
Remember that, right? Like they're out to please themselves.
The only reason why they please us is to please themselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know, I think that's going to be a good spot to end the podcast for today. A little bit shorter, you know. Give us a little bit. We're going to ease back into this. But hey, I thought this was pretty good. You know, giving direction and you know, our thoughts on that. So, anyways, as always, if you guys find this podcast helpful, please share it, like it. You can subscribe to the podcast on I would imagine all of the podcast platforms. You know, Apple. You can subscribe to it on there. We're on Spotify, which I think are probably like the two major ones, anyways. We post these up on YouTube, you know, so if you want to see what we look like, here's our mugs. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. We are on Instagram. We are posting daily on there, you know, so you can see what the dogs are doing on a daily basis. We're on Facebook, so you can like us there. We are on TikTok. Still building up traction there, you know, posting up some funny videos over there. What else? On LinkedIn, you know, we're at a lot of places. So as always, you know, again, we appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to listen to us jabber on about dogs and other somethings. So yeah, we really appreciate it. And that will be all for today. I hope you all have a great week, and we will talk to you later.
See you, everyone.
Happy training.
Bye.
Bye.
The battery's out today.